Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and this video is to help you do well in understanding what's expected of you for the uh, second paper here in LDRD 609. As you know, we're studying organizational change models in this class, and here's your opportunity to really be able to think about how you would apply the concepts that we've been discussing in our discussions. So, I'm going to read to you what's in the syllabus. As you can see on the screen, it's got some key elements that we're looking for at the college. And those of you who are into the academic side of things, you know that the goal of every single class that you take is to help you develop the skills and knowledge of the discipline. This is a leadership program, and so we're studying organizational change leadership models, putting the tools in your toolbox that every organization needs. So I ask you to take a look at a problem in an organization that you're very familiar with. It could be the one that you are working for now. And of course, if you don't feel comfortable about publishing the name of your organization, you can call it company XYZ or ABC or whatever you want. A lot of people change the names, and that's okay. The goal here is to simply show that you know how to research and write an academic paper, and at least in theory, be able to understand how you would apply the models of this program. So as you can see, this is the leadership synthesis and organizational change plan. So we're looking for you to put together a plan. And of course, as we do in academia, we're asking you to describe things that the experts have talked about and show you have an understanding of how to apply these concepts. Students will synthesize ideas from the change literature. So as you can see, you're going to be going into the library database and looking for key content. You might ask a librarian to help you find ideas to help you, but I know that as you are researching concepts, you start with Boolean terms, key terms to help you think about um, concepts related to whatever it is you're talking about. Of course, here you could use keywords like Cotter's change model, Lewin's change model, Mackenzie's model, William Bridges' change model, appreciative inquiry, and of course, looking at the posts that you have done in the past in our discussions and your classmates. That's a good place for you to be able to find resources or find the resources that your classmates have found too. So uh, really be thinking about what could be the ideal state. Remember, when you're a leader, you always want to be constantly seeking change for the betterment of the organization. What would the ideal future look like is a really good place to start from. And of course, we've been talking about appreciative inquiry, and that's all about looking for the ideal positive outcomes of an organization, what's going well with an organization, what could the ideal future organization look like. So that's essentially what you're doing here. The plan will be to improve a process, product, or service in an organization that you're familiar with. This could be one that you work for or have worked for. It could be one that a friend works for or a significant other in your life, a partner. Um, but that the key goal is to really kind of understand the culture of the organization, for instance, what's not going right that could be going better. Here we are in a time of COVID. Uh, Maybe there's something that needs to be fixed there. What's not going well that could be fixed, I think, is really the driver of this paper. The literature synthesis and organizational plan will include an introduction. And if you've watched my other videos that I've been sharing with you, you know we don't use the title introduction in student papers. It's just assumed that the first paragraph in your paper is the introduction. We use the title of the paper over the first paragraph in APA 7th edition papers. A discussion of the organization, the transformation that is needed and why, a detailed plan for implementing the stated changes in the organization that is supported by a synthesis of academic sources on the topic, a discussion of how change success will be determined, and a conclusion. So here's a little tip for you. Make it easy for your professors to see that you have done all these by using headings that are related to these things that the syllabus says that they are looking for. Your professors use a rubric that's based on what the expectations of the paper are. And of course, you can be an amazing student by really showing you have rolled up your sleeves and dug deep into the literature and discussed these. And we use level 1 headings for each of these, and with the exception of the introduction where we use the title of the paper and we just assume that the first paragraphs of the paper are the introduction, as we talked about. So again, some of the nuances. It's hard to write a 7 to 9 page paper. Most students go over 9 pages, and I definitely would for this. There's a lot to be unpacked. I'm going to show you an example here. Of course, APA 7th edition papers are double-spaced, 12-point font, Times New Roman, APA writing conventions, and a minimum of 5 peer-reviewed sources. So these are the things that I'm going to be looking for as I review your paper. And of course, it's asking you to integrate the models that we've been talking about in our discussion. Cotter's change model, Lewin's change model, McKinsey's 7S model, William Bridges' change model, appreciative inquiry, Jainas Window situational approach, and transformational leadership. So all of these are going to be included in what I'm looking for, because it's in the syllabus, right? And then, of course, the syllabus breaks down what I'm looking for into percentages that are going to be reflected on the rubric that I use as I grade your paper. So let's get into a sample paper where this is done. Again, you can recognize this is a 7-page or a 7th edition APA paper. The title of the paper is bold. Notice no running head, but there is a page number on the front. Instead of student name, that would be your name, of course, the name of the school, and the name of the course that you're taking, your professor's name, and the date. So that's all APA 7th edition formatted. Again, we use the name of the paper as the first heading. It's level 1, so it's centered, it's bold, and all the major words are capitalized. And it is an introduction to what this paper is about. So talk about what the paper is all about. And of course, you can always pause to see what the student did as I go and scroll through the paper and kind of reflect on what has happened here. So as you recall, the syllabus asks for an introduction. Here's the introduction. The introduction says this is what the paper is going to be about. And it entices people to be able to move into understanding what the paper is about. This particular student didn't write an abstract, but an abstract is kind of a summary, key ideas of what the paper was about. And good academic writers know that the abstract is written last, because as you're doing research, the topic and key ideas kind of emerge as you're doing the research process. So good papers are written in multiple stages where you create an outline, thinking about what the paper's about. Of course, this paper's about your organization or an organization that you've chosen, and a change that is dearly needed in the organization, something that needs to be done better with a process, or something that needs to be done better with a product, or organizational culture is a very popular one. And so as you're seeing in our discussions, these kinds of topics emerge. So think about the specific organization and write about it. This particular author is writing about institutional discrimination, and she has, supported some sources about, looks like students and teachers. Why the change is needed. Again, it's a level 1 heading. It's one of the things that the syllabus was asking for. Level 1 heading, of course, is centered and bold with all the major words that are here. And so, good paragraphs start with tell us what you're going to tell us, support your ideas with scholarly citations. We're paraphrasing in APA papers what the experts are saying, what we found in the literature. We're not using direct quotes. Direct quotes generally are only used when the author is famous, like MLK Jr., or when changing the words would change the meaning or feeling. So we're paraphrasing. We're saying this is what it appears that the author or authors of this article is saying about, in this case, why change is needed. And then you're kind of thinking about making a sandwich. You introduce what you're talking about in each paragraph, you support it with ideas and scholarly support, and then you kind of summarize what this paragraph was talking about and then tie it into the next paragraph. And so you're kind of making little sandwiches along the way. Top piece of bread, filling, bottom piece of bread. Introduction, content, summary, or tying into the next area. This author did a pretty good job of integrating the literature as she unpacked what the paper was about and why it was important, or in theory, how to apply these concepts. So again, here's another level 1 heading, detailed plan for implementing change using models for change. So this is an introductory paragraph that tells us what this next section is going to be about. And then you can see she goes right into Cotter's change model. She talks a little bit about the change model. She supports it with the literature. She moves on. Found another source. She talks about why change is important. Look again, she's tying it in with equity, which was a theme from her paper. Uh, Here's some other key importance. Feedback is one of the things that she's identified. Again, now that she's identified feedback, she's supporting it with scholarly literature. She's saying this is what the scholars have said about this. There's research on this. Here's a framework, Johari's Window. So she's introducing the next section, and voila, here's where she talks about Johari's Window. And she breaks down what that theory is about. Again, Johari's Window was another thing that was brought up in the syllabus that was being asked for. Aha, look, here's Lewin's model, another thing where in this section that's a level 2 heading, so that shows that it is subordinate of this level 1 heading. So remember, the level 1 heading is centered, bold, and with the keywords that are capitalized. This is all about her detailed plan for implementing change using the models. So she talks about how to apply Cotter's model in here. She describes Cotter's model. She talks about how Johari's window comes into play in this paper. Now she's talking about Lewin's model. She's just unpacking things a little bit, and she's supporting each of these sections with a scholarly in-text citation. Again, here's another section where that's asked for in the syllabus. It's a level 1 heading, so this is not a level 2. Remember, level 2 is left justified. Level 1 is centered and bold. So Bridges' model, as you can see, is subordinate to how change will be determined using change models. So here's an introduction to this section. And then she talks about Bridges' model, and she's supporting it with scholarly ideas, and she is talking about how to apply that as it relates to determining how the change, how will the change be determined. So 7S, McKinsey 7S model. So again, she's integrating these models that were asked for by the syllabus. She's breaking them down. She's supporting it with the scholarly literature. She's introducing the idea, and she's tying it into the next section, summarizing things and making sure that there's this string of understanding of why it's important in how it relates to her topic. So situational leadership was another one of those models that was asked for you to describe, and you'll notice it's a level 2 heading, which means it's subordinate to this how will change be determined for using um, the change models. So Mackenzie's situational, again, she's supporting it. Here's an accident. She should have had and when you're using an in-text citation this way, it should be you're connecting the authors with the actual word and. When you the other way to do it would be if she had it in the whole these two authors in that, but you wouldn't use the according to. So I'll make sure you watch my videos on using in-text citation because here's an accident that I found just kind of going through this. Again, determining success of change, that's another one of the headings and that we're looking for, and so it's bold and centered. And then she talks about how that change was how she unpacks the change. And so academic success, mental health success. So she's kind of tying all of these things back into what this was all about. Here's another error. There shouldn't be any extra spaces between paragraphs and headings. Then she just kind of summarizes key ideas from the paper. What was the paper all about? And so you generally want to look for key ideas and generalize those key ideas. So if people are reading your paper, they'll know what the paper was all about. Again, writing a paper, you're introducing the idea, why the idea is important. Then you're concluding. You're talking about what you talked about the paper all about. References, and this references should be all the way at the top of this. And of course, the heading should be centered for headings. Oops. Can't do it because I've got tools in the way, but this heading should be centered. Anyway, I hope that makes an understanding. It's a good idea to write your paper in different stages. Make sure that you're reviewing the APA formatting, and then double check the syllabus to say, have I covered each of these sections? And read your paper out loud. Very often when you're reading your paper out loud, just as I was, you could find mistakes along the way. We're building the skills of doing research, building our skills of understanding how to implement change, think about what could be better about your organization, what's not working well. That's your area of focus. And then discuss those things. Tie those things with the models that you're required to use as outlined in the syllabus. Anyway, I hope that helps you understand what I'm looking for and what this college is looking for in measuring the outcomes for this course. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Your success is important to me. This is Dr. Paul Gerhardt. I hope that you have a great day because only you get to choose how you feel about it.